With the first trial for YNW Melly now ending in a mistrial, we have finally received some good news, but also some bad news as well. As it was just announced, prosecutors confirmed they are not dropping the case. They will retry the double case against rapper YNW Melly with a new jury, as even explained by the famous rap lawyer himself.
It is confirmed YNW Melly will be tried by prosecutors in Florida for double again in front of a new jury. Prosecutors in Broward County going out of their way to let it be known there's a status hearing coming up on Friday, but they went ahead and over the weekend contacted NBC6 and told them that yes, we do intend to try Melly again for double. Now, the questions that hopefully will be answered at this Friday's upcoming status conference. One, when is that trial going to happen? There's a co-defendant trial who's set to go forward. When in relation to the trial will this trial be? Number two, will Melly get a bond pending his new trial? I'm sure his lawyer is going to push that very hard. And then we'll see number three, are there going to be any changes to the evidence? Is either side going to seek to introduce new evidence, introduce new witnesses? Will all of the witnesses who were available last time be available this time? We will learn more this Friday to see what's next in the saga of the YNW Melly double trial.
However, it's very important to note the jury selection will take longer than last time. YNW Melly's jury selection lasted around 8 months with complications surrounding the trial. However, now finding a jury that doesn't know about the first trial that just happened in Florida is going to be very slim. And that's without even mentioning trying to find people in Florida that don't know about YNW Melly's music. Due to this, sources claim YNW Melly's chance at receiving bond for house arrest is now very high, as it all started with the judge declaring the mistrial in the first place.
And ladies and gentlemen, the juror inquiry form, it indicates that after further discussions, reviewing the evidence and speaking freely amongst the jurors, we are still unable to reach a unanimous decision. So at this time, what I'm going to do is just declare mistrial, the case was mistried, and again, I want to thank you very much for your time. It's very much appreciated. You're free to go. All right, score now. Thank you.
As even at first, YNW Melly didn't even fully understand what a mistrial meant when the judge would announce it.
Give them a notice. Thank you. Appreciate it all. Thank you.
YNW Melly's lawyer had to have a focused conversation with him, revealing what is going to be happening next, as the prosecutors would reveal right away that they are not happy, and she even told the judge she's ready to go and try the trial all over again.
How do you want to address this now, counsel?
Change set as a deadline date. You can pick to start within 90 days. Unless you're going to start to waive that.
We're not prepared to make that decision right now. I would ask that we set this in a week for our status report.
Does anybody have any objection to that?
No, you're right.
So why don't we put it on a docket for next Friday?
However, the odds that it starts within the 90 days is now very unlikely. Nonetheless, it's what YNW Melly's mother shared after the mistrial was announced that will help YNW Melly be released soon, as she would share on social media 9 not guilties and 3 guilties. It was a mistrial, my son will be home. God is still working. Meaning a majority of the jurors believe that YNW Melly was innocent. This will be getting used during a bond hearing soon. Just as his manager 100K Track mentioned, a mistrial is a step in the right direction.
All right, we just heard from the judge that this was a mistrial and that the jury could not come to a unanimous decision. And Track, tell us, you are the manager for YNW Melly. What's your reaction to the mistrial?
I mean, I'm happy with it, you know what I'm saying? It's not the verdict we would want, of course, but, you know, it's a second chance, and I take that literal for everything. Second chance of life, second chance for a better defense. So, you know, I'm excited. Really feel like Melly's coming home. Ben felt like that, but it's just, you know, confirmed it.
Have you had a chance to talk to Melly since he's been during this trial, and whether or not, you know, what his reaction would be to a mistrial?
I mean, you know, they took his phone privileges a long time ago before we even got to this case, so no. But I'm pretty sure he's patient. You know what I'm saying? He's going to get into his music, you know, write more, get into praying, and just because he coming home. So if it's not today or tomorrow.
After his interview, we would even hear from YNW Melly's lawyers outside of the courtroom stating they're disappointed with the outcome.
Just had the mistrial called, and I need to have both of your reactions.
Obviously, we want to thank the jury for their great efforts that they've extended over this period of time. But we are somewhat disappointed that Melly is not walking out the door with us. That's all I can say for right now.
And David, do you have anything you want to say further?
I don't really have much to add except to say that the jury did pay attention. We asked them to do a lot, and they hung in there and gave it its best effort, their best effort, and it's the most we could ask of them. So.
What's interesting is the mistrial likely only happened due to YNW Melly's angry lawyer, as on closing day he was screaming over the fact that the jury had to make a decision on YNW Melly's life with such little evidence.
And tell him that he's going to live life in the state penitentiary without parole or being on row. This is the investigation they want you to rely upon and say it's proof beyond and to the exclusion of every reasonable doubt? I guess so, according to them.
As him doing so likely changed the decision of many jurors that were on that stand, as he would continue being angry inside of this courtroom. As even paperwork reveals, the original crime was a quote drive-by on court records, yet the police never even looked at the surrounding stores that had surveillance cameras to see what cars were driving in the area at that specific time to fully investigate the license plates.
That he doesn't go to the on Miramar Parkway to check their surveillance tape. He doesn't go to Applebee's to check their surveillance tape. He doesn't go to Polo Tropical or the gas station or the bank on Miramar Parkway to check their surveillance tapes. When the car's on 184th Avenue, he doesn't go to the fire station to check their tapes, surveillance tapes. Doesn't go back to the two elementary schools, Sunset Lakes and West Broward Elementary, to check their surveillance tape, because he knows it all. He knows it. How do you know it if you don't check?
As if you're a juror in this situation, it's clear the police did zero effort into this court case. When you pair that alongside the amazing testimony from YNW Melly's 6th grade best friend, Adrian Davis, it's no wonder this was a mistrial for YNW Melly. As Davis would reveal, Melly wasn't even at the crime scene at that specific time.
Are you 100% sure
Objection asked and answered.
that Melly got into the red Mitsubishi to go home?
Yes.
Are you 100% sure that this young man learned of his friends at the exact same time you learned of it?
Yes.
And that was at the house?
Yes.
Are you 100% sure that when people were getting on the phone, that this young man was looking for his phone to call people?
Yes.
As Davis would even double down his claims on YNW Melly not being there by sharing that Melly was picked up by the YNW members that were driving in the red vehicle that was right beside YNW Melly's at the recording studio on the night of the crime. As he stated, they needed to pick up YNW Melly as they needed somebody with house keys to let them into the YNW crib.
Okay, so the only two people you know who had a key to the house was this young man
Yes.
and Cortland Henry.
Yes.
Did you see this young man unlock the door of the house?
Yes.
Who was the last person to get out of the red Mitsubishi to go inside the house?
Trayvon, he was in the cot still asleep.
Did you see where Melly went?
To his room.
And where was his bedroom?
When you first walked in the house, it came Mrs. right down the left.
Okay. This is a 1 or 2 story house?
2.
Davis claims they needed YNW Melly to let them into the YNW crib. YNW Bortland couldn't do it because he was driving the other vehicle. As Davis would then go on to mention he saw YNW Melly walk to the front door, open the door, and walk straight to his bedroom, as he knows Melly was sleeping there for roughly an hour or two until screams in the YNW crib would begin to happen, as they all were starting to learn what happened to Sack Chaser and Juvie.
Did there come a time in the early morning hours that you were woken up and heard some distressing news?
Yes.
What did you hear?
That second Julie was shot.
When you heard that, did you see Melly in the house?
Yes.
Did you see Melly how he was dressed in the house?
Yes.
What was he wearing?
Shorts and a t-shirt, I think.
When they were all learning what just happened, Davis mentions he saw YNW Melly exit his bedroom wearing a t-shirt and shorts, and they all learned about the situation together in the living room of the house. As this gives YNW Melly his first alibi in this case, and is likely why he got a mistrial. However, the absolute best way of YNW Melly beating the case in general revolves around the involvement of YNW Bortland. Here's where it gets concerning, as the exact time the judge would declare the mistrial, YNW Bortland would tweet, "Mind games don't work on people like me," alongside a handshake emoji. During the entire Melly trial, his lawyers were arguing and playing mind games with the jury, hinting towards YNW Bortland being the guilty one without actually saying it. And now with Bortland subtweeting the mind games phrase, it really makes you wonder what he's about to do. Even the opening statement to the jury by YNW Melly's lawyers, they practically snitched on him within 30 minutes of day one.
Evan's lies, those were his lies. Cortland Henry shows up at Memorial Hospital, Miramar. You don't see him sitting there, but where you will see him sitting is in the driver's seat of a car with two bodies, a car riddled with bullets. And when he shows up with a change of clothing, change of shirt, powder residue on his hands, evidencing that he had discharged a firearm. And he lies. He lies about where the incident occurred. He lies about how it occurred. And he lies about not having a phone. I think it was Miss Bradley herself who said, everybody has a phone in his pocket, not Cortland Henry. There were 3 phones.
Where YNW Melly's lawyer himself reveals that Bortland had powder residue on his hands. The only way to get that is by using a firearm. So making that statement loud and clear to the jury is almost like a way of snitching. As he would then even later show the interview that YNW Bortland had with the feds when he finally drove Sack Chaser and Juvie to the local hospital, where it's very clear that YNW Bortland was lying.
And I'm driving, ducking for my life, trying to make sure I don't get hit. And you telling me you telling me about shit. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make sure I don't get hit. I'm driving. I'm trying to make sure I don't get hit. You know what I'm saying? What I'm gonna be worried about? You know what I'm saying?
I know it's not for you to worry about.
Shit crazy, bro.
But if you tell me it happened there's got to be some evidence there. There's going to be broken glass, just like there's broken glass over here from when you guys open the doors and stuff like that. Okay, there's going to be broken glass over there when the windows got shut out. There's going to be casings from the people at your car. Okay, there's going to be evidence over there. Okay, right now there's nothing. I kind of think I know what happened because I got information.
This wouldn't even be the end of YNW Bortland evidence being brought up in YNW Melly's trial. We would even see a forensic scientist that covered the passings go into further detail about Bortland having powder residue.
So the right hand of Cortland Henry contained 0 particles characteristic of powder residue and 2 component particles, and the left hand contained 1 particle characteristic of powder residue and 1 2-component particle.
Okay. And can you explain to us what that means?
Basically, overall, there was powder residue present on the hands.
If YNW Melly's team continues like this in the courtroom, Bortland might not have any other option but to snitch on Melly. They're constantly making it look as if he is the suspicious one, as we would then see YNW Bortland himself get brought into the trial, as he was then given his own trial date.
Is that Cortland Henry?
Yes, sir. He's present.
That you in the back of the
status conference.
Come on up.
And I guess you're already trial to go to second round. No. We're set for October 3rd for trial.
You had a motion pending as well?
Yes, Judge. As the court, when we were here the last time, you let him go to church and stuff, you said about working, you would be subject to seeing his schedule. We filed a schedule for the next couple of months.
I saw that.
Be able to work. And I talked to his probation supervisor. She has no problem with him at all. She said that if he's going to go to work, she'd like anybody has to do, provide an itinerary, where he's going to be, how he's going to get there, how it's going to get done.
With YNW Bortland being brought in and telling his trial date of October 2nd, many online lawyers are revealing it's likely he makes a plea deal if YNW Melly's lawyers continue doing what they're doing.
Is it too late for Cortland to plea?
No, I don't think it's too late. It's never too late. I've had individuals been offered pleas but turned them down in the middle of trial. I've had people offered pleas before a verdict came back. So it just depends on the case, depends on the prosecutor, depends on the actual charges. So no, it's never too late for that. He could take a plea in the middle of his case. I don't think that would happen. If he was going to take a plea, if there was going to be a deal, it would be in the middle of Melly's case.
As ever since YNW Melly was originally arrested in 2018, it's been the YNW group's main priority to make him look innocent and not so much of YNW Bortland. As even in the new lawsuit against YNW Melly, it goes to read, defendant 100K Track assisted YNW Melly and Bortland with the collection and disposal of the firearm that was used for the crime. So if this is true, 100K Track did dispose of the firearm that was used, it makes the interview he did with DJ Akademiks just a few years ago feel very weird.
He built a real great solid team away from just being innocent because he wouldn't do such a crime. He prepared himself and got a proper, defense. Their job is to handle themselves in trial, not on social media. You guys are taking it that way. If they say they got DNA in a car, I'm just gonna tell you Melly DNA was found in the car. You're gonna think, yeah, his DNA was found in the car the day of the oh, he jumped in a car and his DNA was in the car, he did it. Okay, but you're not gonna put the fact that this was his car for 6-7 months on those documents and dockets and just automatically be like, yo, he's fried. You don't even know what the defense is. You don't even know what the rebuttal is. You don't even know why that situation occurred. You hear ballistics flying, you don't know what the defense is. You hear this, you hear that, you get what I'm saying?
I'm gonna be honest.
As 100K Track states that Melly has great defenses, and he doesn't say anything about YNW Bortland, which is now true though because there is no firearm in this case, as he may have known this all the way from the start as he's the one that disposed of it. Even YNW Melly's reaction inside of the courtroom when hearing that evidence is a little odd.
Why not?
So the first thing is I didn't have a firearm, so I can't know which I'm going to use in order to replicate any of my tests. So I can't make tests for this determination because I don't know what was used.
Okay. Do you have a...
However, the testimony from Sergeant Williams is still in effect for the next trial. It is probably the biggest piece of evidence against YNW Melly, as Williams would reveal this crime. He revealed the crime could not have happened from a drive-by.
Assignment, which is to determine if this is a drive-by. And my determination was that this is not a drive-by, and it's based upon this picture here, which is a very good picture to describe it. All of these rounds are done. One is done at a stationary position. The at a stationary position when all but one of these rounds are going in. The one round that has some movement in it, which is round site L here. The actually moving in that to create the little bit of a that you see there.
Okay, a lot of information in that answer, so let's break it down a little bit. You mentioned a
So I'm gonna zoom in on site F.
As he took note of every single hole from inside of the vehicle and then used what is known as the stick method to find out how the holes were created, including the direction of where it could have came from.
Number, you said 17 outside the car. How many rounds were inside of the car?
3.
And can you exclude the for Mr. Williams and Mr. Thomas as coming from outside of the car?
Yes. From the driver's side back seat.
As to the shot that Christopher Thomas, where did that emanate from?
Driver's side back seat.
Okay. Is it possible for there to have been 2 inside that car?
No.
Why not?
There is no time.
As you can tell from his testimony, this was really good for the prosecutor's side, as YNW Melly's reaction afterward, when the jury went to discuss it, is very concerning.
Jury entry.
Ms. Young, thank you.